you doing today?
I'm doing good.
That's good. I'm glad you could make it.
Yeah.
How was the drive?
Traffic was hectic. Getting out of work was just a little crazy. It was like an accident, but it's okay.
Did you make it?
Yes.
And safe.
Yes.
That's what matters.
Thank you.
All right. So let's go ahead and start a session. We're gonna start with a prayer again. So everybody could guide the session. You know what I can't see, what you can't say. We will guide all of it. All right. So let's close our eyes and bow our heads. Amen. Amen. So, how's everything going from last time?
All right. A little tense at home, but it's all right.
It's all right. So, what are the problems you're facing at home that makes things tense?
The relationship's a little bit different with my family, especially with my parents. So I have to get used to that a little bit. But I know it's a new step for me and it's a new step for them. So I guess we're navigating that. Since my parents are, very traditional and old school, they don't know how to express their feelings that well, and just have to let it go. But there's nothing really I know to do to really help them. But I know for me, I know that this is the step that I have to take.
Okay. And what are these steps?
Just putting more boundaries on the things that I can do, would and will do, because I just have a lot going on. So I just know that I need to change, and I would like for them to change, but since I can't control their actions, I'm going to have to just do the things that I can control. So learning more about the boundaries that I have to set is it's a little bit new.
Okay. From your point of view, how has the relationship has changed from what you guys had before? What has changed?
With my parents, it's just a little bit less communication. I don't feel as if I'm being welcomed that much, and I feel like everything is just, how would I say, kept quiet. It's just it's not as open as it used to be, and I'm learning because I'm not readily available, and also I'm setting these boundaries. They're taking it that way as to just to limit communication with me or not inform me of certain things. So to me, I find it just a little bit passive aggressive. But like I said, they're much more traditional, and the role is a little bit different. To me, I'm giving them kind of that patience and understanding that, hey, I'm growing up, and that's something that they have to get used to. But I know it's going to take time for them. But that's kind of what I've been feeling when I'm around them. It's just less communication.
Communication. It must be hard.
It is. It is. I guess in the back of my mind, I had this expectation that they would be happy with whatever I pursue or whatever I do, because that's what I felt from before. Whatever new challenges or anything that I've done in the past, they were always kind of just supportive. But now I feel as if there's much more withdrawal. So trying to understand them, but again, the communication is not there. So I don't know.
Is that affecting you any other ways as far? I know it's affecting your feeling, but does it affect your work in school or jobs?
At work, I'm kind of applying the same thing with boundaries, but it's much better for me at work just because I can focus more on my job, which is something that I love doing, and I work with kids. So setting boundaries with colleagues and coworkers definitely help, because I feel as if before from our last conversation, I was eager to please, and it was more so trying to make everyone happy, but I really had to figure out what my role was. So now there's a little bit less pressure at work, but at home, it's disappointing and it does make me sad, but I'm seeing like a positive effect at work. So there's less stress at work.
Okay. Do you think it's because it's family that the small it's saddening you more because it is your parents and at work is someone that's
Now that you said that, yeah, I guess because it's at work, I can put that distance and it feels comfortable putting that distance, and setting the boundaries. It's just better because I don't really have that much connection with people at work, but with at home, your family,
right.
blood is thicker than water, as they say, but like I expect, we grow, we learn, and you would want to share the happiness with your family, but I'm not feeling that. So it hurts more that my family is becoming more distant. But yeah, at work it's better just because I don't have that much of a connection, so it's easier to just focus on what I have to do.
Right.
Yeah, there's just a much more positive effect at work.
Okay. I remember last time we talked a lot about your parents because that's where the relationship and the problem is. I never asked you if you had any other siblings or any siblings at all to you.
I do. I have an older sister and a younger sister.
Okay. Do you see any relationship changing from them? Do you guys' relationship?
Not necessarily. With my older sister, we don't talk that often. She moved to Georgia, and she sometimes keeps in contact. My little sister, she's also growing up, so she's kind of doing her own thing. I wish she would take more responsibility, but it's also she's in her 20s. So I mean, I do wish she would take more responsibility for herself, because prior to my parents did rely on me to do a few things for her, but as she's growing up, it's time for her to start taking control of her own life and start doing her own things and just to be a little bit more independent. So I guess that still falls in line with boundaries too.
Right.
It does. So I guess the dynamic is not different with my little sister, but it's just I guess what we're doing, or the expectation, I guess, not allowing her to remain comfortable or and being kind of just always getting what she wants,
Right.
and kind of letting go a little bit, but it's not a negative effect. So I don't feel as if the dynamic has changed in any way.
Okay. That might be a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm hearing that a lot of people are relying on you at home, at school, at work, school/work, because you do work in a school. I'm hearing a lot of people are relying on you, putting too much on you. But I'm also hearing that you making these boundaries. How is it making these boundaries? I know at home it's saddening you, but do you feel like any growth coming out of it?
Absolutely with growth. Being a little bit more independent and taking on new risks, since letting go of certain activities and allowing others to take care of what they need to take care of and take their own responsibilities. Before that, I used to kind of handle it or fix certain things or find the information, but now at home, I'm kind of letting go of that role or putting on that kind of responsibility on myself, and kind of putting it back towards to wherever the responsibility belongs to. And I'm also doing that at work. So, and doing that at work really helps me to focus on my own skills and to really just grow at work and to really do things that I really want to do. Um, but again, at home, I wish it would be taken a little bit better. Um, but we just have to see how that goes. But growth for me, absolutely, just because I think I'm seeing a little bit more possibilities and where I can go and what I can do. So it's a bit scary, but I'm willing to just move forward, I guess.
That's good. So last time we spoke about the pastor, but this time we're not talking too much about the pastor. Has anything changed as far as relationship wise and boundary?
With the pastor, I did let go. I decided to let go of certain activities. But because of that, I feel as if my faith walk is just a little bit better, because I can take my faith into my hands and read more and just really, really take the Bible and just read it. And the pastor has his role, but I feel from what happened before, it was, I guess, kind of a wake-up call of how much control can a pastor have in one person's life. And for me, I just changed my mindset to that role or that control kind of belongs, at least personally for me, to God and not just a human being or a person. Respect I have for my pastor, but that kind of, I felt like it was like an intrusion in some way. So I did set my boundaries, but I'm still maintaining that respect. But I've noticed that comfortability it was too much for me. And I felt as if I was being weighted down. And so, and just in my mind, I feel like, as a pastor, it's not your role or territory to specifically say what I can and cannot do. Unless if it is something where you feel as if it's not, biblically sound or it's bringing any kind of strife within the church. But if that's not the case or if that's not the reason, your role shouldn't be that heavily involved in what I do. So that's why I think there's much more of a need for me to develop my own relationship instead of kind of being more passive. So, and not just taking on activities because I think it was just people pleasing. But now it's most with letting go and just I get to and I enjoy the time that I have at church now.
That's good. Do you see your pastor respecting those boundaries?
I guess with my parents, it's going to take some time, but so far I'm not seeing any any hostility.
From the pastor? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or at least I'm not paying that much of attention to it. I'm just enjoying my time at church.
It's good. It's a good way of looking at it. Are you doing any journaling? How are you feeling after each conversation or something like relationship wise with your parents? Like after you encounter some type of feeling towards them or what they say or what they do towards you that not applying like positivity or applying support? Are you writing down how you feel about these things?
Actually no, I haven't thought of that. Or I haven't thought of doing that. I tried journaling when I was younger. But I just think as I'm getting a little bit more busy with school and work, it's just hard to put that in. But that's something to take into consideration just to see, I guess, the events that are happening since I'm going forward now.
So you can write down those events, and see how it's making you feel.
Yeah.
So if you had a wish, how would you, what would you wish for as far as relationship with your parents and the past, or not so much the past, but yes, because you haven't been focusing on the past at all.
Yeah.
But what would you wish to be different within your family relationship?
I would want my parents to want to be involved in my life, but as supporters or just motivators, I guess, or just wanting to see me grow and wanting to see me successful. So I would like for them to be more open and communicate, even if they are hurt or if they don't like something, but not just to completely stay quiet or shut out. I feel as if there's not that much emotion now, but in the future or in a perfect world, I would hope that they would want to know a little bit more about what I want to do and where I want to go.
Okay. So let's work into making this perfect world a future. Maybe at some point in our therapy session, we could bring parents in and we can talk more with parents and see how they feel, how we can help both of you guys. You think that's a good idea?
Maybe way later on in the future.
Yes, not early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know how my parents feel about therapy or their general idea. So that's another topic that I never even thought of or considered.
Okay. Maybe we can talk about it more in our next session. How does that feel?
Yes.
All right. Thank you for coming, Kat.
Thank you.
All right. Drive safe.
All right.